Some artist that barely knows how to lift called Dr. Harsh Kanwar.
In my previous video, I already did a breakdown of Joseph's whole truth video. And fortunately, a lot of people recognize that this guy is simply trying to gain traction by confidently spreading misinformation. It's been a week since I made that video and explained exactly why all of his arguments are incorrect. And a lot of you guys tagged him, a lot of you guys mentioned him, but he has not responded yet. After our previous debate on Diet Coke, he had also deleted the debate video despite me and other people repeatedly asking him to post the live. After this, he started misquoting what I had said, but we'll come to that in a while. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because not only does this guy give poor quality information, he also unnecessarily comments and uses cheap callouts against me in his video. Not just me, but even against the random audience. He seems to be unnecessarily abusive and regularly swears in his content at the same time. Apart from this, he has even used slurs against a random person's mother over a simple social media comment. For a grown man who's about to be 30 years old, this kind of seems like a personality problem. But for now, let's ignore the way he speaks and instead start analyzing his videos. Keeping all of this aside, by the way, he also has severe biases in his claims, which can be misleading for a lot of people. Not just in this video, but multiple videos, and practically whenever he makes content on nutrition, he's almost always pretty inaccurate. So first, let's see what advice he has shared in his other videos. Now, he doesn't share a lot of advice, so I had to scroll down a lot to find one where he had shared something. And the first video I saw had a lot of misinformation.
In the next 3 years, we're going to have a massive wave of depression in men specifically, only because of finasteride abuse. As in, every fucking doctor prescribes that without even thinking.
This is not just inaccurate, it can actually ruin people's health. And I'll explain exactly why. There is no massive wave of depression coming. Oral finasteride shows adverse effects in less than 5% of people. And the percentage of adverse effect actually decreases to less than 3% if you use topical finasteride sprays instead of oral tablets. This ensures that the effect of finasteride is somewhat localized to your scalp. This guy also clearly does not understand what abuse really means.
Its side effects are horrible. Loss of libido, depression, erectile dysfunction. To be very honest, if you're considering one of these, maybe just consider a hair transplant at that point, because your quality of life in a couple.
Now, to recommend hair transplant as a single solution shows his lack of understanding of the topic. Hair transplant treatment with minoxidil or finasteride, they totally depend upon the stage of hair loss you're in. Also, hair transplant is only suggested in advanced stages of hair loss. A transplant only adds hair. It doesn't correct the root cause of your hair loss. That's why a lot of people who undergo hair transplant are still recommended to continue finasteride to fix the root cause and to prevent any further hair fall. Now, I'm not saying that he's wrong to give advice. Even if you're not a doctor and you're not someone from medical background, if you're sharing medical advice and literally thrashing medical doctors and their treatments, then you should at least be thorough with what the literature actually says, because this advice is literally harmful. Research says that using finasteride shows more potent side effects when you add videos like this, which are misleading, which contribute to your nocebo effect. Nocebo basically means a detrimental effect on health produced by psychological factors such as negative expectations of a treatment. These misleading videos can scare people using these drugs and may actually increase the risk of adverse effects that they may potentially face. After this, I scrolled down a little bit more to find this video.
There are certain states that do things like gene doping that are not tested for. So then what happens? How do you...
What gene doping?
They change your genes, as in your DNA, you make changes to that. So you're able to put on a ton more muscle, and it's not tested for either. Even in the Olympics, it's not tested for right now. So
the sheer confidence this guy spreads misinformation with is actually concerning. Firstly, gene doping has literally been banned by WADA in their anti-doping policies. Also, the Olympics do test for gene doping. That being said, these methods have only officially been tested on animals. There have been literally 0 human cases reported till date who have used gene doping, because these methods pose a risk of mutation which can cause cancer and death. So again, this is simply invalid and inaccurate. Now, after scrolling down a little bit more, here's what I found.
Underrated supplement is it's magnesium, and you know the worst part? It's that nutritionists and dietitians, they all underestimate how important it actually is. And it's because magnesium deficiency, it leads to a bunch of issues, including terrible sleep quality, insulin resistance, and all of this, it in turn contributes to type 2 diabetes and obesity.
Again, magnesium is not at all underrated. I think most dietitians and nutritionists recommend magnesium because everyone knows the benefits of consuming magnesium. And don't get me wrong, I think magnesium is a great supplement and I tell everyone to take magnesium. But here again, he has googled side effects of magnesium and promoted it as is. Magnesium is not consumed enough and it can be correlated for reducing the risk of diabetes. diabetes. But no matter how much magnesium you consume, it won't fix your diabetes if your lifestyle, blood glucose, and insulin production isn't in check. Now, full disclosure, I know this guy hasn't directly said this, but this does mislead the audience to think that not taking magnesium will cause diabetes. A better way to promote magnesium would be for its recovery effects, for better muscle relaxation, and the benefits that it has on improving sleep quality. This seems a lot like half information. Finally, coming back to his original video,
I think the whole truth is kind of scammy.
I've already done a breakdown of his claims where he said that date powder, not date sugar, is metabolized the same way as sugar, which is highly inaccurate. And while I'm not saying that sugar or dates either are bad, I do think that the both are better than artificial sweeteners. And anyway, the sugar you get here can easily be accommodated in your daily diet by simply managing your carbohydrate intake. In fact, I'd argue that sugar would actually improve protein absorption because of the protein sparing effects that carbs. It's also pretty obvious he doesn't understand anything about the glycemic index and load and was worried about glycemic index in a protein supplement. I've explained already that protein delays gastric emptying, which helps maintain more relatively consistent blood sugar levels. Now, one argument I didn't address was the isolate versus concentrate argument because I didn't have enough time and Instagram only allows you to record 3-minute reels.
Flavorings. That's why it goes down as easy as water. Your gut will thank you. No, that's false again. The reason that this goes down so easy is because they use whey isolate. So for those of you who don't know, you get two kinds of main whey. One is called concentrate, one is called isolate. Isolate has a lower level of lactose compared to its concentrate brothers, right? This is the reason that it doesn't feel as heavy in your gut. 90% of Indians are lactose intolerant. You consume an isolate rather than a concentrate, it will feel lighter than a concentrate.
Just because Whole Truth has added isolate to their products doesn't mean that it's bad. In fact, I think it's good because the creamy texture of concentrate is maintained and the lower selling cost is achieved, and at lesser concentrate levels means that you have lesser lactose, which can cause lesser digestive distress. Adding isolate to your concentrate product makes it better, not worse. He also claimed that 90% of the world's population is lactose intolerant, which again is pretty inaccurate. The reason a particular protein can be light on your gut is not just because they avoid using concentrate, but the number one reason of this is because they avoid artificial sweeteners like sucralose. Sucralose is known for its effects in irritating gut health, and that's why it's better to avoid artificial sweeteners. Natural sweeteners like monk fruit, stevia, and even sugar can be good. As long as the brand is good and honest, I don't think cost and marketing is a good enough reason to call out a brand. That's honestly what they should be doing as long as their products are transparent and not outright mislabeled. This brand doesn't mention no added sugar being its USP. They use other USPs like no artificial compounds or no cheap fillers. There's practically no reason to say that they're trying to make it seem like they have no added sugar. Protein import prices are already at an all-time high, and a lot of brands are literally not even profiting from their whey protein. This misinformation causes unnecessary reputational harm to a brand, which is not just unjust, it can actually lead to unnecessary losses despite selling a good product. Now, note that I'm not affiliated to the Whole Truth, but this is my genuine stance. Now, this clearly shows that this guy's personality and understanding of science are both messed up. He also has been misquoting my claim for a very long time, and I thought that it's time to break this down. He claims that I've mentioned that my clients lose weight in a caloric surplus. This is just misrepresentation of what I have tried to explain. So, to clarify to all of you guys, I'll elaborate. Over here, I haven't said that weight as in mass on the weighing scale. I meant that a person can lose fat in a caloric surplus. This is possible in someone who's putting on muscle quickly. Let's say a person who's consuming 100 calorie surplus every single day, and this person at the same time builds 100 grams of muscle. Now, the 100 grams of muscle has a net metabolizable energy density of 180 calories. That means he needs to add 180 calories every day to make 100 grams of muscle. Now, he's already getting 100 calories from the surplus, and he needs the remaining 80 calories from somewhere else. This somewhere else would be nothing but the fat reserve that you have in your body. 80 calories of energy would require about 9 grams of fat. This way, you would be able to lose 9 grams of fat to build that muscle while being in a caloric surplus of 100 calories. This shows that even in a caloric surplus, you can still lose fat. Now, I'm not saying that calorie tracking is useless. It does give you a good estimate of what and how much you need to consume. But the calories in and calories out model oversimplifies how macronutrients are metabolized and used inside of your body. This is also seen in body recomposition, where despite eating in a slight surplus, you still end up gaining muscle and losing fat. Now, all of this again proves the same thing. He's overconfident, misrepresents people's claims, and lacks basic social etiquette. I don't have anything personal against this guy, and I don't respond to people who mock without proper scientific evidence. But since this was going a bit overboard, I had to make this. It's also my job to warn you guys of the major source of misinformation he is, because information like this is not just bad, it can literally harm your life.